So, if you, somehow missed it, Chelsea only got a 1-1 draw against FC Twente in their first match of the Champions League. Worse, Chelsea's lone goal was from a penalty. Now, I don't mean to take anything away from Twente as they are a good team, but even before this match, you could tell something was wrong, especially with the offense. And I know saying Chelsea's in trouble is weird. I mean, they won the domestic treble last year with Sonia Bompastor, and are already leading the title race in the Women's Super League. It's not even just a 4-0 thumping by Barcelona in both semi-final legs last year. If you watch the Women's Super League, Chelsea's playstyle is very ugly. And look, you could just be like, oh, a win's a win, but a squad of this talent and that has aspiration for the Champions League trophy should be able to put more than one goal past Leicester and put one goal that's not a penalty against Twente. Their offense just looked stale against the Dutch club. And no, it wasn't because it was their substitute starting. This has been a problem ever since Bompastor has taken over. But somehow last year, Chelsea just would always find a way in the end. So what exactly am I talking about? Why is their offense stale? Well, aside from the team being way too relaxed, the real Achilles heel of this team may be Bompastor herself. More specifically, her stubbornness. Again, I know Bompastor won the treble in her first season with Chelsea, but hear me out. Immediately last year, Bompastor seemed to be a good hire for Chelsea when they were able to poach her away from Lyon. And for good reason. While managing Lyon, she managed to humble Barca in the 2022 Women's Champions League final 4-1. And all Chelsea want to do is beat Barcelona. And Bompastor has done that before. Albeit with a squad full of legends like Hegerberg, Ottomine Henry, Lesamere, Renard, Marjoran, etc., who have all played together for many years and have really good chemistry. But have you ever wondered why Lyon didn't put up much of a fight to keep her? Well, there's a reason. By the time 2024 rolled around, Lyon were losing some of the older guard and they were stalling. All throughout the Champions League, they let teams stick around for too long, resulting in draws to Braun and Slavia Praha. The results were just really inconsistent. And in the Champions League, their only real challenge heading into the final was PSG. Then, of course, the final against Barcelona. And here, Bompastor's tactics were actually not bad. The team was getting chances. But the players just could not make the most of them. If you go back and watch this game, Lyon should have won. Bompastor's scheme was fine in her final game for Lyon. And this is where I think people forget that a manager's job involves more than just tactics, which Bompastor has been struggling recently with herself. Managing also involves squad selection and, crucially, knowing how to get the most out of your players. She was not doing either of these things well at Lyon, and surprise, that followed her to Chelsea. What do I mean by getting the most out of your players? Well, aside from tactical fit, individual coaching of players can affect their mindset. In that final against Barcelona, all the forwards were struggling with their finishing and final passes. In Chelsea's Twente game, all of the forwards were struggling. When it's just one or two players, they just might be off. But when it is more than half your squad, the coach is doing something wrong with these players in practice. During Chelsea's game a few days ago, I saw a lot of Chelsea fans calling Guro Reiten washed, and I want to really push back on that. Because in the lead up on offense, she was good, even getting some fine crosses in, her specialty. The problem lies in the final third, where she did miss an open header. But it was not only her. Aggie Beever-Jones, who has been carrying this Chelsea team since the start of the year, could not get anything to go her way. Alyssa Thompson showed promise in the attack until it would always break down in the end for her. Overall, Bompastor's management of players just hasn't been great, and a big reason for that is because she plays favorites. Despite being a huge reason why Chelsea played horribly against Barcelona in the first leg last year, Bompastor just walked out Kiera Walsh and Lucy Bronze again in the second leg, and crazily enough, they did not perform well again. In one of her first moves, aside from signing Lucy Bronze, Baltimore was brought in from PSG, and this has been a really great signing for Chelsea. There is one problem though. Since joining Chelsea, Bompastor has been playing Baltimore as a left back or wing back. This handicaps Baltimore pretty heavily as a player and results in the need for a 3-in-the-back formation, and Baltimore is just not a defender. Sonia Bompastor also hasn't been able to utilize Sjoeke Nüsken like Emma Hayes was able to do. This actually recently resulted in rumors that Nüsken wanted to move on, but she did just sign a new contract. It is only till 2027 though. It also seems like Bompastor is phasing Reiten out of her plans because she doesn't think the Norwegian fits her system. To which I would say, what system are we talking about here? I don't know what your tactics are. And I'm sorry, not having Guro Reiten be your penalty taker against Twente after years of being Chelsea's #1 PK option was crazy. Even more so because Reiten is the one that earned the penalty. Player-related decisions can lead to complacency, and it has shown honestly this whole season so far at Chelsea. There is no urgency when they're playing a club that is deemed to be less of a challenge. Lyon fans were also not sad to see Bompastor go, as she doesn't play to the actual strengths of a team. She is very stubborn. Bompastor has been walking the Chelsea side out with a 3-in-the-back formation, which has just killed them offensively. A 3 center-back formation didn't even work for Chelsea back in the Emma Hayes days. So why is Bompastor so committed to 3-in-the-back? Aside from her obsession apparently with playing wingers at wingback. Well, she doesn't want to drop Millie Bright from the squad, the captain. This is despite Germa and Bjorn ending last year in much better form than Bright, and not much has changed. This is further amplified by the fact Bright is coming off of surgery and, it shows. Bompastor doesn't adjust to the form her players are in, and she also doesn't adjust to how a player is responding to playing in an unfamiliar role. She keeps doing the same things over and over again, even though it's clearly not working. Reiten and Baltimore do not work well together on the left side, but she would rather do that than, God forbid, start Naeem Charles at left back. There was this quote from a few weeks ago where Bompastor profiled Alyssa Thompson and literally got nothing right. She said Thompson could potentially play wingback with her skills, which, no, she cannot. More problems become apparent with Bompastor's subs. Sam Kerr should have come on for Aggie Beever-Jones way earlier against Twente. The offense just couldn't do anything in the box. Then, once Reiten and Baltimore seemed to actually be finally, settling into the game and getting things going, Bompastor takes both of them off. What? They had something going on! Further proof that Bompastor's head is on Mars, she says that Ellie Carpenter and Lucy Bronze could potentially play together. What? I'm just gonna brace Chelsea fans for this. This probably means that Bompastor plans to play Lucy Bronze as a right center-back, and then have Carpenter be the right wing-back. Ah, yes. Let's start the fullback, who is often caught too far up the pitch and forces her own teammates to cover for her mistakes as she slowly tracks back at center-back. That sounds fantastic. God damn it. I also need to know Bompastor's obsession with Johanna. Don't get me wrong, she's a great player for Sweden, but she has only scored 2 goals the entire calendar year of 2025. And what did Bompastor do when Chelsea needed a goal Wednesday? Brings Kennerud on! Bompastor gets a lot of players who are shiny, but she doesn't actually have a scheme in mind for them, or really any idea about how they will fit within the team. That's why Lyon's identity changed so much from 2022 to 2024. So there is talent. Carpenter has been amazing so far for the Blues. But they just rely on her or whoever else is in form to play hero ball and have plays of individual brilliance. Look at Chelsea's lineup against PSG in the Champions League back in 2022. I look at this and I understand the vision here. Who has chemistry with who? How they could play off each other. Then look at Bompastor's lineup from their first league game this season against City, which, in fairness, they did win. But looking at this, I'm not so sure of the vision here, right? And this is probably the most flattering example of her lineup. I don't know why she doesn't do this more. Also, to be fair, they are missing key players like Lauren James, Myra Ramirez, Kadesha Buchanan, and Lucy Bronze to injury, which definitely affects Bompastor's plans. But still, she hasn't adjusted, and it's very clear that none of these players really have any chemistry. And I'm a little scared when James does come back and Kerr is back fully in form, that they will just be relied on because of how good they are, and Bompastor won't actually think about how to set them up for success. Because let's be real, no player in that game against Twente was set up for success, and it cost them. All this being said though, Chelsea will probably still win the Super League. They always find a way domestically. The problem is you can't play ugly football all year and win the Champions League. And this was a problem under Emma Hayes also. There's a reason why fans called her tactics terrorball. There has to be a plan in place for the players. So will Bompastor turn it around? Let me know what you guys think, especially if you're a Lyon fan and watched her at Lyon. Is there anything else you noticed about Chelsea? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, leaving a like would mean a lot. And let me know if you want me to cover something.